Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I am back with another fascinating story named Pride and Prejudice, written by Jane Austen. The novel Pride and Prejudice was published in the year 1813 during the Regency era, which is a subset of the broader Georgian and the early Romantic period. Therefore, Pride and Prejudice was published during the Regency era, which began in 1811 when George IV served as Prince Regent due to the illness of his father, George III. And this period, known for its refined manners and societal expectations, is reflected in the novel. Now comes the characteristics features of the novel. Although Pride and Prejudice is associated with Georgian era's realism, it also exhibits elements of the Romantic movement. The novel explores personal emotions, individual growth, and relationships which align with the Romantic ideals. Now just look at the first line. You would understand the theme of the novel just by looking at it. It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife. So, the opening line serves as a satirical commentary on the societal norms of that particular time, where marriage was often seen as a means of securing financial stability and social standing. And this statement reflects the prevailing idea that a wealthy and single man would naturally be seeking a wife. Then comes the protagonist, Elizabeth Bennet. She challenges these norms by prioritizing personal values and emotional connection over financial considerations in her pursuit of love. Again, the male protagonist, Mr. Darcy, undergoes character development as he learns to overcome his pride and prejudices. So the whole plot revolves around the theme of marriage, portraying marriage as a social contract versus marriage based on genuine love and compatibility. So now let's begin with the story. In Longbourn, news spreads like wildfire when it's discovered that a wealthy young gentleman named Charles Bingley has taken up residence at Netherfield Park. The Bennet household, with their 5 unmarried daughters, Jane, Elizabeth, Mary, Kitty, and Lydia, is particularly intrigued by this development. Mrs. Bennet is eager to see her daughters settled in marriage and views this as a golden opportunity. Mr. Bennet pays a visit to Mr. Bingley to extend his social courtesies, and soon after, the entire Bennet family attends a ball where they have the chance to meet Mr. Bingley in person. It becomes apparent that Jane catches his eye as he spends most of the evening dancing with her. However, Mr. Darcy, who is Mr. Bingley's close friend, displays an air of arrogance and refuses to dance with Elizabeth, which earns him quite a reputation for being haughty and unpleasant. As time passes and they attend more social gatherings together, Mr. Darcy finds himself inexplicably drawn to Elizabeth's charm and intelligence. Meanwhile, Jane's friendship with Mr. Bingley continues to blossom as she pays a visit to his grand mansion at Netherfield Park. Unfortunately for Jane, bad weather strikes while on her journey there, and she falls ill upon arrival at Netherfield Park grounds. In order to care for her sister Jane during her illness at Netherfield Park estate, Elizabeth endures muddy fields on her way there and arrives with a spattered dress, much to the disdain of Miss Bingley, who is known for her snobbish nature as Charles Bingley's sister. Miss Bingley becomes even more spiteful when she notices that Darcy begins paying considerable attention to Elizabeth. Upon their return from Netherfield Park estate after Jane recovers from her illness under Elizabeth's watchful care, The Bennet sisters find themselves in the company of Mr. Collins, who is a young clergyman set to inherit the Bennet property as it can only be passed down to male heirs due to an entailment. Mr. Collins, though pompous and foolish, is captivated by the Bennet girls. In a rather surprising turn of events, he proposes marriage to Elizabeth, an offer she promptly declines, which wounds his pride. In the meantime, the Bennet sisters strike up friendships with military officers stationed nearby. Among them is Wickham, a charming soldier who takes a liking to Elizabeth and shares with her his grievances about how Darcy had wronged him by denying him his rightful inheritance. As winter sets in, Bingley and Darcy bid farewell to Netherfield Park and make their way back to London, much to Jane's disappointment. Another shock follows when news arrives that Mr. Collins has been engaged not to any of the Bennet daughters, but instead to Charlotte Lucas, who is Elizabeth's closest friend and daughter of a local knight. Charlotte explains that she needs financial security as she grows older and sees this match as her best option. Elizabeth promises to visit them at their new home. As winter progresses, Jane pays a visit to London hoping for a chance encounter with Bingley, but instead she finds herself faced with Miss Bingley's rude behavior, while Bingley himself fails entirely to make an appearance. The prospects for marriage seem bleak for the Bennet sisters indeed. In that particular spring, Elizabeth pays a visit to Charlotte, who now resides near Lady Catherine de Bourgh's residence, where Mr. Collins' patronage lies. It is worth mentioning that Lady Catherine de Bourgh is also Darcy's aunt. During her stay at the Collins home, Darcy happens to call on Lady Catherine and unexpectedly encounters Elizabeth. This encounter leads him to make frequent visits to the Collins residence. One day, in a rather shocking turn of events, Darcy proposes marriage to Elizabeth. However, she promptly declines his proposal, stating her belief that he is arrogant and unpleasant. Furthermore, she scolds him for influencing Bingley to distance himself from Jane and for mistreating Wickham. Following their heated exchange of words, Darcy departs, but soon after sends a letter to Elizabeth. In this letter, he admits his role in separating Bingley from Jane, but claims it was because he believed their relationship lacked seriousness. Regarding Wickham, he reveals that the young officer is deceitful and that their disagreement arose from Wickham's attempt to elope with Darcy's younger sister, Georgiana. This letter prompts Elizabeth to re-evaluate her feelings towards Darcy. Upon returning home, she treats Wickham coldly and experiences distress as the militia departs town, particularly affecting the younger Bennet sisters who have an affinity for men. Lydia manages to persuade her father into allowing her to spend the summer in Brighton with an old colonel, while Wickham serves there with his regiment. Elizabeth embarks on another journey alongside her relatives, the Gardiners, who are related to the Bennets by blood. This journey takes them up north until they reach Pemberley, which happens to be Darcy's estate. Elizabeth seizes an opportunity while ensuring Darcy is away and decides to visit Pemberley herself. She takes great pleasure in exploring the magnificent buildings and grounds, all while hearing praises of Darcy's generosity from his own servants. Unexpectedly, Darcy returns home and warmly interacts with Elizabeth. However, he refrains from mentioning his previous proposal. Instead, he entertains the gardeners and extends an invitation to Elizabeth to meet his sister. Shortly thereafter, a letter arrives from home informing Elizabeth that Lydia has eloped with Wickham and their whereabouts remain unknown, implying that they may be living together without being married. Fearing the disgrace this would bring upon her family, Elizabeth rushes back home. Mr. Gardiner and Mr. Bennet embark on a search for Lydia, but only Mr. Bennet returns empty handed. Just when all hope seems lost, a letter arrives from Mr. Gardiner stating they have found the couple and that Wickham had agreed to marry Lydia in exchange for financial support. The Bennets conclude that Mr. Gardiner has paid off Wickham, but Elizabeth discovers that it was none other than Darcy who provided the money, thus saving her family. With their marriage now intact, Wickham and Lydia briefly return to Lockburn, where they are met with cold treatment from Mr. Bennet. They soon depart from Wickham's new assignment in the north of England. Meanwhile, Bingley returns to Netherfield and resumes his courtship of Jane, while Darcy accompanies him on his visitations to the Bennets' residence, without mentioning his desire to marry Elizabeth. On the other hand, Bingley proposes marriage to Jane, much to everyone's delight, except for his snobbish sister. As the family celebrates this joyous occasion, Lady Catherine de Bourgh pays a visit to Longbourn and confronts Elizabeth about rumors she heard regarding Darcy's intention of marrying her. Considering a Bennet an unsuitable match for a Darcy heir like himself, Lady Catherine demands that Elizabeth promise not to accept his proposal. However, Elizabeth firmly refuses such a demand, asserting that she is not engaged to Darcy and will not make any promises that go against her own happiness. In a later encounter, while taking a walk together, Darcy confesses to Elizabeth that his feelings for her have remained unchanged since the spring. Moved by his sincerity, she warmly accepts his proposal. Eventually, both Jane and Elizabeth find themselves happily married. So here ends the story. Now, talking about the theme of the novel Pride and Prejudice, the novel discusses the theme of marriage, which portrays marriage as both a social contract and a realm of genuine love, where social standing, wealth, and class play significant roles in determining suitable matches, and all these reflects the societal norms of the early 19th century. The marriages of characters like Charlotte Lucas and Mr. Collins exemplify the pragmatic approach to marriage as a means of social and financial stability, which is devoid of love and deep emotional connection. On the other hand, the central love story between Elizabeth Bennet and Mr. Darcy challenges these conventions. Their evolving relationship stands as a testament to the transformative power of genuine love, transcending societal expectations. Jane Austen critiques the superficial nature of some marriages while championing the idea that true happiness arises from mutual affection and understanding. So with this, the overall discussion of Pride and Prejudice written by Jane Austen comes to an end. Also, there is one announcement that I would like to make. I have created a WhatsApp channel where I would be providing ready-made and unique notes of all the topics that you would be needing. So do join the channel. The link is provided in the description box. If you think that this video has helped you in any way or the other, do like, share, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.